It just got very real for the Los Angeles Lakers as multiple new reports have dropped surrounding one particular player that reveals some huge information surrounding Rob Pelinka's next move. We're going to break down exactly what that report is and discuss what this means going forward, as this has massive implications on the team. We also have a few other updates to go over today, folks. Before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, it's the place to be for daily Lakers content. You guys have been absolute beasts with the support, so if you want to continue supporting, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Folks, let's dive right into it now. There's a lot of news to go over today, and of course, it's in a weird part of the offseason now. Transactions are a little bit dry, but there are still a lot of reports going on specifically around the Lakers because of the fact that they have very open flexibility to make another move, specifically in the form of acquiring a center. And this a new report came out here revealing that the Lakers emerge as the favorites to land former all defensive center. And of course, the player we're talking about is Robert Williams. You can see the article going on to say the Lakers have already made noise in the offseason, adding DeAndre Ayton, signing Marcus Smart, and re-signing Jackson Hayes. And according to Bovada, the Lakers are heavy favorites to land Robert Williams. And of course, Robert Williams comes in right now at plus 185 to land with the Los Angeles Lakers. And this is very interesting because we know coming into this offseason, the biggest plan for the Lakers was to, of course, acquire a starting center. And most of us thought, including myself, and the reports thought even that it would come in the form of a trade similar to a trade that Robert Williams, almost had, the Lakers almost had with Robert Williams, or sorry, with a lot of names here, with Mark Williams at the last trade deadline, the Dalton Knecht and 2031 first round pick and 2030 a swap back at the trade deadline. So coming into this offseason, we're thinking, okay, maybe something similar is going to happen. Maybe for a guy like Nick Claxton, there were some rumblings of Walker Kessler, but then they went with DeAndre Ayton. But now Robert Williams, a name who has been linked to the Lakers plenty in the past, at the trade deadline, in the offseason, earlier on in this offseason. Now, for the first time, he is now favorited to land with the Lakers. And I think this stems from a few different things. One, I don't think Rob Pelinka's done. And obviously a lot of, some people do. I think because of the fact that they have allowed themselves to keep, we'll dive into a trade in a minute, to keep most of their assets, specifically all their expirings, all their, the picks that they've had coming into this offseason, they still have. They haven't gotten off any picks. And being able to get DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart both via buyouts, which is by far the biggest, thing here. They have allowed themselves and positioned themselves to still be one of the more aggressive teams in the market, especially compared to some of the others who have already made trades this offseason, all these different things. And I mean, we know how solid Robert Williams would be as a backup center. He's entering the final year, for some context, of his 4-year, $48 million contract. He remains one of the league's best pure rim protectors. Of course, we know how good he was in the past, but now with the Blazers, who in which the Lakers have some familiarity, in dealing with, in the sense of like, it would be a perfect fit, right? And obviously at this point in time for this Los Angeles Lakers team, or for this Lakers team, like obviously the Trailblazers, they just traded with the Celtics for, Drew Holiday, and they've been going on and on, making some moves. And for familiarity wise with the Lakers, like the Blazers are open to moves and open to making transactions. It makes some sense here now. And regarding the actual financial aspect, they have $40 million on the books. And for a guy in a backup center who does make a hefty amount, it could easily be stomached because of the fact that the Lakers have a ton of money available to trade away. And we'll dive into a trade in a minute here, but that's what makes this so, it makes the Lakers favorites because they could use a backup center, even though they already have Jackson Hayes. I think adding another guy would make a ton of sense at this point, even though I think their priority probably should be not Robert Williams, but a 3-and-D wing. I don't know how many of those are available right now. Like Andrew Wiggins seems to be staying with the Miami Heat. We have, Herb Jones seems to be staying with the Pelicans. And I'm very curious as well to see what your guys' thoughts are. Like, do you want them to get a guy like Robert Williams that moves Jackson Hayes to that third string center? I think at this point, my current, feeling is Robert Williams, with Rob Pelinka. I don't think that this would necessarily be a move he makes unless he's confident that A, it'll help put them over the top to win a championship, but B, they don't have any other moves they can make surrounding this package that they have, which has been well known as Dalton Knecht and a 2031 first round pick, right? And I'm not saying that's what this deal is going to take. We'll dive into one in a minute. But like at the end of the day, if they can't trade for a 3-and-D wing, then going ahead and trading for someone to even just help any part of your team, I think would be okay. You can see this here. Please make this happen. Robert Williams and the Lakers will make us title favorites if he can stay healthy. We can't go from Ayton then to Hayes. I don't know if I fully agree with this, but I wanted to bring it up because I'm curious to see what you think. Do you guys think going from DeAndre Ayton and your backup being Jackson Hayes to DeAndre Ayton, your backup being Robert Williams, with Jackson Hayes being your third string, and of course in this scenario you can assume Maxi Kleber's traded away, would make this team that much better because Jackson Hayes is very good and less injury prone than Robert Williams is. Robert Williams is one of the most injury prone centers in the NBA. Robert Williams like elevates your defensive floor and ceiling so much. And that's the big difference here. Like he's such a good defender that it would make some sense to just try to have one of those guys as a backup for, Robert Williams. And that's what makes things very, very intriguing here now. And this is a trade that recently has been proposed. It is Robert Williams for Maxi Kleber, Dalton Knecht, and a 2032 second round pick. And this is where I think the trade makes some sense. So you're getting rid of Dalton Knecht, a guy who I'm not entirely sure that JJ Redick trusts in the rotation anyway in this upcoming year and that the Lakers want to hold on to. So you're basically giving up Knecht, who, as I covered in a video a few days ago, isn't viewed as a first round asset anymore, a second round pick, and of course, Maxi Kleber. And you'd have to make sure that, the salary works, and it would with Maxi Kleber and Dalton Knecht here, making up about that $12 million. And of course, you get Robert Williams. So you're getting rid of the excess center that you have in this case in Maxi Kleber. Dalton Knecht, he could shine with Portland, right? I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And you're giving up your second round pick, not your first round pick. And that's a big thing here. Like, I don't think this is a deal where you give up your first round pick for Robert Williams. But if you can upgrade that backup center position, and I would rather have the ceiling of Robert Williams defensively if he can stay healthy for a second round pick and Knecht, I don't hate the move. Now, does this close you off to other moves in the future for, 3-and-D wing? Probably, but I think if those moves were going to happen, it would have already happened. So I really like this. And I also think that having, Jackson Hayes as your third string center is pretty good, right? If Mark Williams, he mix him up. If Robert Williams goes down with an injury or something like that, which is very possible given his, career trajectory and how many injuries he has dealt with, you have a great third string in Jackson Hayes. I don't hate the deal. I actually think it makes a lot of sense. And we know that, in the past with the Mark Williams trade, the Lakers consulted Luka about the deal beforehand, and they wanted that. And Doncic had selected the 7-footer out of a list of potential targets for the Lakers. So I'm sure now, and I'm not saying Robert Williams and Mark Williams are the same, even though, similar names and stuff like that. I do think Mark Williams is better than, of course, Robert Williams. But Robert Williams, if he can remain healthy, is an elite defender, and he would really elevate this team. And if you can't get a point of attack defender, you may as well elevate your paint defense. And looking at his stats last year, like he's only played 26 games in the past 2 years. He's still very good defensively, but it almost is better because you're giving up one of your expirings. Yes, you're giving up Dalton Knecht, which I don't love the idea of. But at the same time, folks, you're getting back a guy who, A, you can stomach if he's injured for a little bit because you have already Jackson Hayes in the team, and B, it would just make sense in general to elevate this team's defensive floor and defensive ceiling because of the fact that they haven't been able to get a point of attack defending wing. Of course, outside of Marcus Smart, I'm talking about adding on top of all of that. But folks, that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. A lot of new reports are dropping. Luka is going to be in LA this weekend, so an extension could be imminent here according to Slovenia's head coach and according to a bunch of reports. So it's going to be interesting. Do you want to see Robert Williams on the Lakers, and what do you want Rob Pelinka's next move to be? That'll wrap it up. You guys have been absolutely fantastic with this report. We'll keep you up to date every step of the way. You guys are beasts. We'll see you later.